Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the One Meal Channel. I'm your host, Nathan. People from all over the world converge to watch me make a massive meal that's big enough to feed a family of 3, and I consume it all by myself. And if you want to enjoy watching this video, as much as I enjoy making it and breaking this egg cluster apart, sadly, then grab yourself your favorite beverage or a bite to eat. Maybe you're watching this before heading off to bed. And let's celebrate another upload on the One Meal Channel. Let me grab my homemade chicken broth, and we'll celebrate together in 1, 2, 3. Well, Noah is in the garage, greasing up his axle shafts, and no, that is not a tongue-in-cheek phrase. I am out here getting ready to go to work here in a couple of hours. And the laundry is getting done as we speak. So we're going to start with our cup of rice, day-old rice, to lower the amount of glucosamine index spike. We don't want our glucose to spike. Rice is a heck of a lot of carbs, but if we keep it a day old, it supposedly lowers that spike. We've also transitioned away from the bacon grease and away from butter. We're now using coconut oil, which, if you can get over the sweet smell that coconut has while you're cooking up eggs and rice and anything else that you want, the actual flavor at the end is just fine. I mean, it's almost not even noticeable. So at this point, the only time I'm going to go back to butter, it's probably if I'm cooking a steak. I don't know if cooking my steak in coconut oil is really the way to go. It's probably if I'm cooking a steak or if I just like the taste of butter, which of course butter does taste amazing. We'll limit the amount that we have. All right, so 4 eggs for ourselves. We have them extra runny because that is how I like it. It's how I prefer it. And 4 more eggs to make a kind of makeshift egg fried rice. I'm going to mix this together, let it fry up. I think we might have gotten an eggshell stuck in that one, but who cares? Extra calcium. How's everybody been doing? I don't have a whole lot to talk about. We're mostly just going to be cooking with each other and letting you guys enjoy having this on in the background while I make my food. Got a bit of a late start to the video today. Well, not late start, but just later than I could have. Got to be at work in about 2.5 hours. It'll give me just enough time to put this meal together and set it aside for tomorrow. We're going to be no burritos today. No burritos. Got the burritos that we made yesterday that are going to be my primary sustenance while I'm at work. It came out to about 3.3 pounds worth of food, which is pretty incredible. I'm going to turn the heat up here. 3.3 pounds of food a day is enough to satisfy the man like me. Matter of fact, a little bit too much. Noah asked me to go to the Mexican restaurant that we go to in a while. He asked me after work to come back with a little bit of food for him, and I happily obliged. I was going to get some for myself as well, because every time I get an opportunity to eat there, I want to pick up their food. Their fajita mix is fantastic. The carnitas burritos are fantastic. All of their food is fantastic, but of course I have my favorites. And as soon as I showed up, I realized that if I ate any more food that day, I would literally explode. So I passed up on that. 3.5 pounds of food is a little much. We're going to go... Don't freak out. Settle down. We're going to go with about 2.5 pounds of food per day. It'll still hit us at around that 2,000 calorie mark, and plus, since we're doubling our egg intake from what we were eating before, from 4 to 8. we're going to get a great boost to our HDL levels. I'm still, I mentioned this in the previous video, I'm still dying to go fishing. I think we're still like a month out. And I just can't stop thinking about it. I want fish back in my diet. I'm tired of depending on fish oil supplements every day in order to get me what I need. I do. I want fish oil back in my diet. I miss the Christmas dinner that we made. I believe that's my most watched and most subscribed to video is the rainbow trout Christmas dinner that we put together. You guys absolutely love that. And I miss it. It was fantastic. And seriously, if you don't make your own chicken broth at home, you are missing out. Perfect. This will finish frying up really soon. If you're new to the channel and you're still watching after these lull points, I try to keep things as simple as possible. One meal a day, one pan that I cook out of, one bowl that I eat out of, 1 cup of rice, 1 potato, 1 onion, 1 chicken breast, 1 cup of chicken stock. And don't get me wrong, I do appreciate variety, but this is really satisfying just to have this every single day. Well, did you get your shafts greased?
I did.
Both of them?
I did. A minimal mess.
That means minimal cleanup. I told you he was working on his car. Okay, well, we have potatoes to cook up next. No cooking agent in the pan. So let's change that. Potatoes it is. Yeah, that big knife that I have, I think it's about time to let that go. I've been saying that for about 2 weeks now. The big knife that I use, I've been sharpening it just about every time before I use it on a video. And dude, I prefer the big knife over this knife. It's just more comfortable to use, but it's extremely just dull. So it's not a very expensive knife, and it has a pretty messed up handle. So I might just have to put it through like one of those I don't know what you call them. I have, this is what I use to sharpen my knives. So there's another tool that you can use where you kind of just like drag the knife through a diamond kind of stone to reset the edge. Might be time for that. Which, to be fair, I've gotten plenty of use out of these knives. I've had these knives basically since I moved out here. I've been in this place for almost 2 years now, but I lived at a different place for a couple of years as well. So yeah, I've gotten probably 4 years of use out of these knives. These knives weren't anything special. There we go. And now that I've had like 2 or 3 days to experiment with this coconut oil, so you really don't want to, when your pan is all like fully heated, you really don't want to have it above medium. Otherwise it will completely burn. So I might even turn the temperature on that down slightly once the potatoes cook up a little bit more. But even when I add things to the pan that like overall reduce the heat of the pan, like that rice, for example, or the eggs, I just find you don't want to increase that heat over medium, because by the time it does heat up, it will completely scorch all of the food that you have in there. Which is nice, because besides olive oil, that's some of the lowest smoke point oil that I've used up until this time. I don't really have a motivation to like test a whole bunch of different oils and see how they react. Really, I want something that I know is not unhealthy, that I can use and consistently cook with. And I think this is probably the least unhealthy option compared to like bacon grease and butter like I was using before. So to the commenter out there who suggested coconut oil, thank you. Again, I like all of your comments. Just because I don't implement something super quickly or at all doesn't mean I don't appreciate your comments. Yeah, I test out different things pretty commonly, but I'm not much of an experimenter, if that makes sense. So something that works for you guys, that you think will probably work for me, it probably, maybe it would. But yeah, I do have to admit, I'm just not much of a experimenter. So I can't try everything that you guys suggest. If I find something that works, though, I'll absolutely give you credit for it. Yeah, another thing that I've noticed too with butter is even if you cook it at a low temperature, it eventually will, like burn or thicken up quite a lot, at least darken. When this coconut oil more or less keeps the same viscosity, no matter what temperature it's at, as long as it's not burning. And it coats everything pretty evenly, which I like and appreciate as well. So I do, that coconut oil is, it's not going anywhere. I got the small tub because I didn't know if I was going to keep doing this or not. But yeah, coconut oil is going to stay. So now we'll grab the very last piece of meat that we have on this carcass, which is the last chicken breast. No need to cut it. You just pull it right off. Make sure that you don't have any excess bones that come with it. Doesn't matter if there's a little bit of meat left on the bones there. This will be used to make our chicken stock. And I already have plenty of videos on the channel going over how I make chicken stock. So if you want to see them, you can go back and watch them. Not every video is titled just the one meal with a number after it. I have some titles where I actually describe what I'm doing every day, so you can watch it. But it's so simple. You don't need to watch a video. Just grab some bones. It doesn't need to have a whole lot of meat on it. Just grab some bones, put it in a pot. Other videos online, they'll put in like celery and some onions and some other vegetables because they want to incorporate some other flavors into it. Do it. Go ahead. Just throw bones and some carrots, some potatoes, some just whatever you want. Just make kind of a hobo stew. Boil it for 8 hours and then strain it off. If you make a lot of it, then put some in some containers and try to freeze it so that it stays longer. Or if you're like me and you drink it every day, like sometimes multiple cups a day, you don't need to freeze it because you're going through it so quickly. Yeah, I like cooking with this coconut oil even more than I enjoyed cooking with beef tallow. Because even though I liked the flavor of beef tallow after it was cooked, after I was in cooking with it, the smell that it would leave in the house was just not very appetizing. There's a difference between cooking a steak and putting some butter in the pan and cooking the fat on the steak and rendering all of that down, and then just having raw beef belly fat, pounds of it, and rendering that down like in a big bowl, in a big pan. Because I thought that everything would just melt down until there was nothing left but just kind of a viscous fat deposit, and then once it cooled down it would harden up again. No, what actually happens is it's like you're frying pork rinds in its own fat. And so you take all of these beef tallow chunks and put them into a pan and render it down, and you have to like constantly be stirring it. You can't just leave it and let it sit like the chicken broth. You have to go back and just constantly be stirring it over and over and over. And by the time it gets to the point where you're ready to harvest it, to finish it up and put it away, you strain it. Then it just sticks to your strainer, and so you have to clean the strainer under really high heat. And what's left in your strainer is just a whole bunch of little tiny pieces of like beef pork rinds that are in there. They're like the size of like a large marble or something like that. And it's just no matter how much longer you render it down, like these things will just burn eventually. And those rinds are what like really, just frankly, they stink. If I ever do that again, if I ever like start eating lots of steaks every single day and like needing beef tallow to render down, I'm probably going to make it outside in a big pot, and I'm probably not going to cook with the beef tallow. I'll test it out a couple of times, but I doubt that I'm going to want to pick that up again because it'll just make the whole house smell like beef tallow instead of amazing like butter and steak. What I'll probably do is I'll do the same thing that I do with the chicken broth. Is I'll put it in the microwave or I'll put it over the stove and heat it up for a while. And when I heat it up, I'll use it basically to like dip my steaks in, because that's pretty common with people that do carnivore. That's pretty common for people that do OMAD. It's a good way of getting a lot of high protein, a lot of high fat. Because I mean, look at Look at the amount of calories that you get out of this coconut oil. 120 calories per tablespoon, and there's about 28 tablespoons in here. And all of this is basically all fat. Yeah, so I think this is more or less already done. I'm not going to put any hot sauce in this. I already have my burritos already made up. This will be what I eat today. What I'm making right now is essentially what I'll save for tomorrow. So we'll just add a little bit of soy sauce. I put some salt in the rice. I don't think any of that salt, excuse me, stayed in the pan. If you add soy sauce to your rice and your egg, it'll give it a nice dark color instead of this golden yellow. But I'm colorblind, so I don't really care a whole lot about the color of things. So that was a crazy experience as a kid, where like I was a pretty smart kid. I picked up on things pretty quickly, and I was actually like interested in learning. So even if I wasn't at school, I mean, all kids ask like crazy questions because they want to understand things about the world. But I would like go back to my room and like read books about them, like study things to try to learn more. But I couldn't get my colors down. Like I could do basic math at a young age. I could do like basic science, like learning about cells and things like that. Pretty complex stuff that like other kids my age just weren't learning about. And then we get to colors, and it's like I just couldn't tell you like what the color of something was. Couldn't differentiate between like my blues and my purples and like my yellows and my greens, and it was strange. I could tell the difference between yellow and red. I could tell the difference between like blue and red, but like red and green and anything that, you know, browns, anything that seemed close to each other on the color palette spectrum, they just kind of all blurred together for me. So I think I was like, yeah, this kind of just looks like 3 colors that are blurring together. And so yeah, there's actually 7 or 8. So that's when we learned, yeah, Nathan's colorblind. Noah pointed out that I still use colors as a descriptor. You know, when I see a car, when I see something I want to describe it, I'll try to use color to describe it, and it just unfortunately makes things more difficult for other people to understand, because when you describe something and you describe it as the wrong color, you know, say it's a car, for example, and I describe it as the wrong color, I might get the description of like the features of the car or the brand that the car is, but if you say the wrong color, obviously people are going to be like, oh, well, that couldn't be the car Nathan was talking about. It's not the right color. We have made good time on this. And you know what? There actually appears to be a lot more food here than I expected. I'm going to make a little bit of a mess. Yeah, that's a lot of food. That is a lot of food for little old me. Yeah, and this is what I eat not going to the gym. Imagine what I eat when I do. Absolute menace to society and myself. Okay, well now it's the best time of the video, the part that everybody likes to rewatch over and over again. They might not even watch any of the other stuff that happened previously. You guys are special. You guys are the real viewers. But it's time to weigh our food. The proof. I can't just be telling you that this is over 2.5 pounds. I've got to prove it. So let's zero out our bowl. Let's put our new bowl up. And that comes out to 2.79 pounds. Not bad. 2.79. That's great. Yeah, if we get over 2.5, you know the drill. You know that we're heading our caloric intake for the day. So I'm going to go transfer this over into another container because I'm going to save it for tomorrow. I'm going to eat the burritos that I have inside of the fridge. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you in the next video tomorrow. Bye.